All right, so the first method we're going to cover is the lowest on the training load scale, and that's the cardiac output method. It's a method I've written quite a bit about in my Roadwork 2.0 and Ultimate MMA Conditioning elsewhere, and really it's a method that's gotten probably more negative publicity or more bad press than any other method out there. And really the message over the years has been train slow, be slow, and everything should be done high intensity. But the reality is, if you look at endurance athletes who have the highest levels of aerobic fitness, they use a lot of long, slow distance training. Now, it's not to say that's all that we need to do in training, but there is value in doing that. Number one, if you look at the heart and think of it like a balloon, this stuff stretches the heart over long periods of time, creating an eccentric force, which causes the heart to dilate and get bigger. Number two, it increases the endurance ability of the slower twitch fibers since they are predominantly working. Now, I know a lot of strength and power or combat sport other athletes think the slow twitch fibers are useless, but they actually serve a lot of purpose. They produce plenty of force, and they help basically increase the endurance of the fast twitch fibers by oxidizing a lot of the stuff that gets produced through anaerobic metabolism. But really the key to doing this method right is to understand that it doesn't have to be the same exercise for an hour straight or 2 hours straight. The general guidelines, your heart rate's going to be 130 to 150, and that's a pretty broad range, and it can definitely fluctuate within that. But that's generally where most people's stroke volume, which is the amount of blood the heart's going to beat, is going to be pretty high, and it's still in a lower intensity range where you can do it for longer periods of time. Now, it's not to say the heart can't go above or below those ranges, but that's generally the range you want to kind of stick within throughout the training. Now, because it is more of a volume-based, lower intensity method, you're going to want to do a higher volume in that. So 30, 60, 90 minutes, somewhere in that time frame. But as Howie's going to demonstrate, we can do jump rope. You can do a variety of different exercises. As long as you're keeping your heart rate within that range and you're going continuously throughout the time that you're doing it, you're going to see the benefits. So I personally like jump rope. I think it's a great one. You can also want to include some full body exercises like the Versa Climber over here. You can have Howie jump on that. But really the key is you want to use different methods. You want to work as many different muscles as possible, and you wouldn't go for 10 seconds like he just did. You probably want to go for 5 to 10 minutes per exercise and rotate through a variety of exercises. So that's why I call it Roadwork 2.0. It's because you don't have to go out and just run miles on end. You can do different forms of different exercises, just keeping your heart rate in that range. Now, a few key pointers here. The older you get, generally speaking, the lower your resting heart rates and the lower your heart rates are going to be. So if you're an older athlete in your 40s or 50s, your heart rates will probably be on the lower end of that scale, maybe in the 120s. Younger athlete could be a little bit higher than that. And really you just want to kind of find the range where you can just continuously go and you feel like you're working. Now, most people are going to feel like it's pretty easy work. It shouldn't feel taxing. You shouldn't feel fatigued during this type of work. It's not meant to be that way. It's a lower intensity method by nature. So just because it feels easy doesn't mean it's not working. Again, the key is duration. Since you're going over a longer period of time, that's what's causing the improvement, not the intensity itself. Secondly, we want to look at heart rates in terms of position. So if you're laying down, let's say you're swimming, or you're seated, let's say you're on the bike or rowing or some activity like that, the heart rates are generally going to drop 5 to 10 beats. So instead of being in that 130 to 150 range, if you're swimming, you might be in the 120 to 140 range or somewhere in that range, let's say. So again, it's not set in stone. You don't have to always have your heart rate exactly in that range. That's just the general range you're going to shoot for. And you don't always have to do the same exercise, as we said. You're going to want to use a variety of exercises that are going to train as many different muscle groups as possible. You can also do sport-specific stuff. So let's say a combat athlete can do shadow boxing or can hit the pads light or bag light. He can do light grappling. A soccer player can go out and work on some ball handling drills or just light cutting drills, stuff like that. You can make it more interesting than just running for miles on end. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but the key is just keeping the heart rate in the right range, using the right duration and intensity, and just maintaining that throughout the entire training session. So really that's the lowest training load method, cardiac output method, and there is value in doing it, and we'll talk more about how to put that into a program later.
I train to dominate my opponent.
I train because the competition never ends.
I train because life is a fight.
Black Horse gives me an edge.
It's really the way of the future of training. I've seen every trend you can imagine come and go. This is one thing I see that's a game changer.